Yeah, like you said, Harris. Yeah, the software doesn't care. Software is there to serve you, not advise you. Depending on your interpretation of the system, you know, displays your performance. Going about these trades. So, okay, we're good to go,
Yes,
user.
sir.
All right.
See, buddy.
Let's see. Harris, I think, yeah. Just so you know, Harris, you're unmuted. I'm not sure if you know.
Right. I'm muted.
You're unmuted.
Oh, yeah, cool, cool.
Just to let you guys know. Okay, I'm gonna get started. Yeah. So, like I said, this is kind of like the indirect, tackle on the psychology of things with trading. I want you to take things from this screen and apply it to your overall life. I've spent a lot of time writing and illustrating things on this screen. I wrote this multiple paragraph thing today that I'll read for you guys. Real quick, there's one thing I spotted that I wrote some time ago. Let me zoom in. Let's do 75%. So here in the market, we see periods of compression, like we were just talking about the M, and anytime I think about M, it's like a staircase down. Sometimes in life you could have, occurrences, events where it just seems to be getting worse, worse, worse. And then at some point, there's an inflection. There's an inflection point, and it goes from compression to expansion. You know, Beyond trading with the M and K, we see in standard deviation, you can see compression and expansion in other parts of nature. Like I said, with compression, like a storm cloud over your head type of, days or a longer period than that. And then, like I said here, the saying "no pain, no gain" is an example of compression expansion. Go through some pain or challenges. Doesn't have to be pain, just challenges, whatever adversity. And then at some point, you hit the inflection point, and then there's expansion. So pain, no gain is this kind of check shape, this compression expansion. So, and as you guys will look at the fractal over time, you'll notice you could apply it to many other parts of nature out there. So it's very, very cool. Very cool. So I guess some other examples of compression expansion are parts of nature, not including trading. Lifting weights, working out, getting muscle, no pain, no gain, pushing, a spring together between your hands, compression, then you let go, expansion. Out in nature, like tectonic plate collisions causing compression, forming mountains. And then objects like tire compresses upon coldness, expands upon heat. Winter season can be considered compression, then summer's expansion. So to have that, down mentally, that there's cycles in the market. There's down times, there's up times. Sometimes the staircase down, then it expands sharply higher. We can see that in the market, see in our software, and you can see other parts of nature like your life experiences. And then I have some other things on here. I guess I'll read this side real quickly first. I wrote this some time ago. It says, for example, if your goal is to wake up, Monday morning, tomorrow, make a profitable trade, you're much closer to the reality of possessing that, happening when consisting of high energy within. You know, it's unfortunate, but it's the way it is. If you have other things happening, in your life, and then let's say it not be that great, and then you go to trade, the cards are gonna be stacked against you. It's unfortunate. That's the way it is. No matter what software or tools you have, because like I said, this is a 50-50 endeavor, and it's not just using software and tools to place trades and make money, but also the psychology you have, or just the mentality, or the mental state you currently possess before placing these trades. So, what I'm trying to get at is, what the type of energy you have within really dictates how you perform, in the market and beyond the market, and just other things too. So, and then here I say, rather than wake up late, scaring to get to your PC and trading platform on, than being in a state of desperation to find and make a profitable trade, doing all or any of these creates the probabilities low of you being successful in the endeavor of making a profitable trade. So physical realities mirror what you consist within, have low energy, receive low energetic outcomes. So for example, if you wake up in the morning and you had this utter desperation to make a profit trading, Monday morning, tomorrow, that's going to give you circumstances of low energy, you know, like losing money. So you can never be desperate, you know, when you're trading or investing in the market. You gotta be, like I say, is relaxed confidence is what you need to have. That's what I've been affirming and bringing to my life is that relaxed confidence. You need to persist, you need to have and persist that feeling, and that gives you the best outcomes. So, but here I say, why do negative outcomes persist even when I enter my endeavor with high energy? So this occurs because if everything were to go our way all the time, right, everything would be pointless, right? No pain, no gain, like I said over there. No adversity, no story, you know, there's no value of the success. Happiness and joy has a value because of the existence of sadness or disappointment. It's polarity. They both exist. Uh, let's see. When the opposite of what you had in goal happens, even when you contain high or positive energy, is believed to be a test upon your perception and faith. In trading, you always will have losing trades. As long as the loss of the trade doesn't lower your energy within, the probabilities of experiencing another losing trade next is lower. That's why for longevity, upon your desired doing needs failure at first in order to give you your long journey, in order to give your long journey the value of doing well. It's just like compression expansion. You know, I I'd like if I'm just now getting started trading, it'd be a curse if I'm doing amazing right away. I don't know if you guys ever noticed, just out and about throughout your life, the people that get things very luckily at first, usually in the long term end up losing it all and being worse off than when they first started. The higher you are, the harder you fall too. So, for longevity of things, you know, be thankful that you're struggling now or there's challenges. I mean, it might sound kind of odd, but for longevity, it's good. You know, it's supposed to test you. It's supposed to be challenging to give you that value of success in the end. So, and then it's just like compression and expansion. Theoretically, the longer the compression cycle, the sharper the expansion cycle. So, just like stocks and standard deviation, things can compress for a cycle or for a while, but anytime something compresses, it always expands at some point. So, with your life experiences, maybe you're in a cycle of long compression, maybe you're trading and you're constantly run to failure, you know, it's all tests. It's supposed to try to break you, you know, it's it's just the nature of things. Once it kind of make you give up, but as long as you keep going, keep persisting, you'll hit an inflection point at some time, and you yourself will experience that expansion, kind of like a K assignment we see. So I know last thing a person wants to hear when they're not doing too well is just keep going, but it's also mentality you have, you know. So some people start the lives of expansion. They start off financially abundant situation without ever experiencing compression first. Then time soon catches up to them, delivering heavy compression upon them. So again, in other parts of nature, compression expansion. Everybody will go through compression expansion dynamics throughout their life. Whether they're conscious of it or not, they will. So, and this is why author Napoleon Hill once stated, "Quick riches are more dangerous than poverty." Riches in this text refers to anything worth labeling as abundant or just quick greatness. The higher you are, the harder you fall. I said that. The bigger the expansion, the sharper compression, vice versa. So I kind of basically said this already. Yin yang relationship between compression and expansion. And then, yeah, I'm going to move over to what I wrote today. Now, again, I want you guys to apply this to your overall life. You know, this is not just psychology for trading, but psychology for your overall well-being, and not just psychology. Psychology to me, for whatever reason, I always branch out to like faithfulness stuff, good energy, energetic stuff. So not just boring mental terminology and stuff like most people think of psychology when they hear that word. But let's get into this though. I wrote this a little bit ago today. So Don't try, do, or just be. That's my first key segment here. When it comes to achieving a goal, trying numerously is actually a low energy endeavor in respect to the process of physical manifestation. For example, if your goal is to be a better trader, don't wake up every day trying to perform better. Just be. Soon as you awaken in the morning before, soon as you awaken in the morning before market open, possess the feeling within of being a successful or great trader now. So I guess I'll kind of expand that a little more. I said just be. So this is mentality wise. You don't want to turn on your system, your computers, and try to be better. Before you get to your office desk or whatever for trading. You know, sit back for a minute and possess it in your mind. Try to believe at first that you are being better. You already are a great trader. You already have it within for what it takes to you know make successful trades and make money. Have that within now. Don't try. That's what I'm trying to get at in terms of mentality. And then in terms of consciousness regarding the process of manifesting the physical, for what is truly felt and believed within and backed by faith is far more real than what is currently seen by one's eyes of the physical world. What you may see now is lack of funds or lack of winning trades, whatever it may be. But as soon as you adopt the routine of trusting immensely that you already possess the traits that it takes to receive your goal, the amount of time between you and your goal dissipates largely. In most cases, it's not a matter of time when you achieve your goal, but rather the amount of energy you possess within determines the defined time arrival of such desired. Again, the amount of time between your desire and your physical possession of it is completely dependent on the magnitude of the energy you carry within. You know, so if you, like I said, if you get to your computer desk and you write down in a note saying, I'm gonna trade great today, it might not be enough. It's not gonna guarantee you success. You gotta really sit there and kind of perform like, as someone would go undergo like a meditation, like close their eyes for a minute, you know, and sit back and try to fully realize that you have it already within for what it takes to make profitable trades today. You gotta really realize it, you gotta believe it. And then I have getting started not next week, not tomorrow, but now. Now is a new future. For what is newly started now opens the door to never experience opportunities and occurrences. Get started now and trust the process with heightened levels of faith while not trying to shortcut or constantly check on the status of progression. As the old saying goes, a seed doesn't blossom the moment it's planted, yet the harvest is certain. Meaning, for what is newly started now doesn't immediately yield you the physical results as you wish to see. It was your energy possessed in your endeavor over time, the progression and end goal is certain. Not because you earned it, not because you deserved it, not because you did every little thing right, but because planting is always followed by harvest. And yes, this is kind of getting more to spiritual energy side of things and being faithful. This is not, I'm not trying to embark on anyone's religion, but it's a true fact of having faith in any endeavor gives you better results. you know. So having faith, I'll always argue, is a very amazing thing. No matter what you're doing, trading or going through your career, anything, having faith is key. And then also is key. Assumption is key. Right here. Performing the law of assumption is the most successful and quickest way to possess in hand what was once desired by the mind. Don't want, don't need, just assume the wish fulfilled within and carry with it the energy, relaxed confidence, and uttermost belief in a manifested process through faith. Don't imagine the feeling of the desire finally coming in the future. Feel the feeling of the wish fulfilled right now. Live and go about your day as if the wish was already fulfilled by the nature of happenings. Claim it. Claiming looks like acceptance. Realize it's already done by consciousness, and that it be done by form. Remember, the time it takes your assumption to become reality is proportionate to the naturalness of being in it, the naturalness of possessing it within. Choose what you want to embody in this world, suspend judgment, refuse to accept what reason and the senses now dictate, and if you remain faithful to the new diet, you'll become the embodiment of the ideal to which you remain faithful. And then I have another saying here. I repeat to myself a lot. The seed doesn't bloom the moment it's planted, yet the harvest is certain. What you start now and you keep persisting on, you might not see the progress or the end goal yet, but you have that faith within that it's there, it's out there. So yet that you serve the harvest is certain. What's unseen now shall be seen soon. The feeling I possess my heart and soul is far more real than the current sight of reality in which I see with my eyes. I say that a lot to myself for kind of like a saying, to live by. So yeah, I wrote this today. I'm gonna post this in the psychology page, but like I said, I have my own twist on psychology. I think when most people talk about psychology, is like they think of it like boring stuff. So I kind of bring in the faithful and energetic and the good, like life things you live by kind of deal to psychology. That's how I go about it. So again, I'll post this in the psychology page of our Discord. But beyond trading, I want you guys to apply this to your overall life and whatever endeavor, whatever doing you guys are involved in. I hope it really helps. So, and that's what I wrote today for all you guys. I hope inspired you in some way or helped you. You know, definitely helped me. There's years of quotes that I put all together in this paragraph today. So, but yeah, like I said, it's beyond trading. You know, Unfortunately, out of our control, things happen to us as time goes on, and that affects our trading. It does. It's unfortunate. Life's unfair in many ways. So, but that's why I really bring the faithfulness side of things and energetic side of things to psychology, and just remember and live by these things. And even before turning your computer in the morning, maybe reading this stuff gives you a better start to the day, a better start in the morning. And the better of a start you have in the morning may just give you the better, effects of your trading, better performance of your trading, you know. So I have a few other things on the screen. Frequencies, vibrations. Yeah, I'm very big into that. You know, I love the science of it all. Very big into it. I have some other stuff maybe I can explain. I drew this. This kind of illustrates, kind of confusing illustration. This depicts how I overthink things, just illustrating things. What do I have here? Like you said, yeah, frequencies and vibrations. The five whys, yeah, up here. Let me read the scenario. No distance from mind to goal desire due to mind consistent adequate energy for gold immediately warped to the possession of mind and onto the physical. Okay, yeah. So you brought up frequencies, vibrations. Yeah. If we break it down to the mere science of things, the higher energy you possess within, the higher of energy of results you will attract in, of course. You know. So I kind of just drew here real simply, if here's your mind with a high amount of vibrational energy within and your goal, it's right there. It's right past this little resistance barrier, you know. Whereas here in scenario B, there's significant distance between the mind bringing the desired goal to the physical due to the lower energy possessed by the mind regarding the attainment of the goal. So here, 750 hertz vibrational energy, and you have 240 hertz is just examples. And then you can see here that I drew simply your mind's a lot further in distance, physical distance from the goal. So you compare these two. Yeah. And I don't know what it is, people that have the faith or spirituality or you're religious, whatever, they apply it to the market, you know, they do there's longevity in those people. They usually do very well over time, you know. The market's tough, it's a lot of ways it makes you want to give up, you know, all these challenges and adversities that hit you, you know. So for a person that has a lot more faith and good energy than another person that has no faith or no energy or no care for it all, the person with more faith obviously going to have, more longevity, a better journey, you know, and better performance long term. I have some quotes and notes right there. If the mind can conceive it and believe it, it shall receive it. And then, oh yeah, I have even more of the religious, spiritual side of things on here. I wrote some of this stuff up a while ago, but for sake being, I'm gonna read it. The person who goes to prayer with definiteness of purpose and faith in the attainment of the purpose puts in motion the laws of nature which transmutes one's dominating desires into their physical equivalent. Sounds like kind of big, a bunch of big words put together, but if you read it a few times, sometimes I gotta read it a few more times to kind of understand it. I think some of these are old quotes from that Neville author, or no, was it Napoleon Hill? Neville Guard is another guy. One who cannot answer his own prayers is praying incorrectly. The time it takes your assumption to become reality. Okay, that's already my story. Energy, let's see. Okay, I talk about energy too. Okay. I just have a bunch of notes and brainstorming on here too. Think what else I have on here. Oh, I really got into like this routine of before, going to bed at night and then waking up the next morning trading. You know, if you go to, I think I kind of tested this out actually, physically. You go to, let's say, at night, you go before going to bed, you possess higher energy within, good mood, faithful. The probabilities for you to sustain that throughout sleep and then wake up the next day even stronger in that possession of faith and relaxed confidence. It's much higher. Your subconscious, whose natural state is sleep, sees you as you believe yourself to be. And whether it be good, bad, or different, the subconscious will faithfully embody your belief. I've spent years and years studying, subconscious mind of things, or even just unconsciousness too. Like you could unconsciously place a trade for some reason, you know, think it's a great idea or thinking because of some certain reason. And then you sit back and then, oh, shoot, well, really shouldn't have done that, you know? So sometimes you got to make sure you don't unconsciously make those mistakes and get you self entered and something like that, It all depends on your well stated being, you know? The more, the, I guess, the higher energy you possess within, the more likely you're not going to make those unconscious mistakes, I guess. Yeah. Five whys. Why did you get in a position when did someone else push you that button for you? Yeah, those are great to bring up, Harris. Awesome. Oh yeah, here I was gonna read this. So yeah, present night I wrote new conscious thoughts, beliefs, and feelings. Let's say you have new conscious, good energy, about the following day, about the next training day. You have that tonight before you go to bed. And then that sleep period, the subconscious receives that, embodies this into physical fruition. And then the next day you awaken with a new conscious and altered reality. So it's kind of vague, but yeah, it's a process. Let's say you've been trained for a while and before bed every night you've been going to bed with bad energy, and then the subconscious receives that, and then it tracks low energetic outcomes like losing money the next day. I get this down to the science. I really love you know to understand the probabilities of you know will I make good decisions today, will I make money, will I perform well, you know gonna bring it down to the science. And then, oh yeah, up here, so this looks kind of like the fractal. We have a line of neutrality, the pivot, you know not just with stocks, but maybe if you put your life experiences on a line with a with a line neutrality on it, you have like an M cycle where things are not going away, falling apart, and then we're in a negative cycle for a while, kind of like an M compression cycle, and then at some point there's will be that turning point where you get enough energy to get back above that neutrality point, and then you're back in the positive. So yeah, you can see the fractal in many other parts of nature throughout your life. So yeah, and then a bunch of other things. I drew these up all myself, and it's kind of another confusing thing. This is not that confusing. Some people do the affirmation thing, like, you know, for any goal. or endeavor they're in. For us, it's trading. You know, maybe your affirmation is, you know, I I am a better trader today. I am doing better than before right now. I am, and you assume that feeling. You realize it in consciousness, and then it manifests into its physical counterpart at some point, all depending on the energy. So, and I kind of just drew it out in illustration. So you have your affirmation, like I said, energy growth. So as you keep, saying it to yourself, you keep believing it, keep practicing on realizing it. You have that persistence, and then I have the goal here, the reality. This amount, the time for you to hit that goal, the physical reality goes down. The time goes down as your affirmation goes on, and as that energy growth continues. So yeah, I can try to explain this. I don't know. Some of these pictures, I'll draw these at 2, 3 a.m., staying up, studying science stuff. Let's see. I think this was starting point. So okay, this is one side, this is another side. So sometimes you can view this as your life experiences or as like a stock or trading kind of chart. Sometimes things are losing first. There's a turning point, and then it starts going towards positive. So let me back up. First off, it goes towards its negative right here. You're losing first, and then there's a turning point. You go to the positive side. You get close to a goal, and then you get what we call like a near miss, kind of like we see with open states in the fractal. You know, I guess I'm trying to depict here is if you imagine your mind, knowing the fractal, sometimes price gets close to open state being the goal, you know, and then kind of compare it metaphorically, the price as and that open state as your goal. Sometimes you get really close to that goal, and then you just fall on down and fall away from it. That's what I'm kind of trying to depict here in this illustration. So then it's a miss, and then it goes back this way, and then upon this third time moving this, or the second time moving this way, the losing is accelerated. So I guess you could say sometimes you start out not too well, and then you get in a winning streak, you get close to your goal, then you miss your goal, and then you go back the other way, and now you're doing worse multiplied. You know, this is kind of just mapping out the physics of things, whether it be your life experiences or stocks in a chart. And then on the flip side is sometimes you're gaining first towards the positiveness, towards the goal, and then there's a near miss of the goal first. The near miss happens second here. Now it's happening first. So I head towards the positive. You missed the goal, but and then now you're going this way towards the negative. Things may be bad, but then there's another turning point, and then upon the second turning point, you're regaining again at a higher velocity towards that goal. So, for example, you know, let's say your goal is to get 10,000 in your trading account. Okay, the starting point, let's say you're at 2,000. You're gaining. There's a near miss. You get to, let's say, 8,000 out of 10,000. 10,000 is your goal. You get to 8,000, and then you start losing a bunch of money. This is the loss of money right here because you're heading towards this negative. But then, you gather more energy or you learn something. There's a turning point too. And then you flipped into a higher velocity of gaining, and now you hit that 10,000 and maybe even further. So this just maps out, this illustration of, I guess, how, things go, you know, in that regard of, trading, getting to your goal. And then over here would be the vice versa, obviously. So yeah, when I first drew that, I'm like, wait, what did I just draw? Does this even make sense? I do that a lot. But hopefully that makes sense to you guys. It's just a, kind of, yeah, two-step forward. Yeah, so just an illustration. You could apply this to, like I said, trading or just, life experiences, goals, whatever. That's what this is depicting. So, yeah, I think I talked about everything I want to on this psychology bit. Again, I will post this in the psychology page for people to read this and you take note. and apply it to your life. Like I said, this is kind of indirect. I guess that's how I do things. If you haven't noticed, talk about psychology today, and when you look through here, you see a bunch of words of faith and energy and all this other stuff. You know, but it's important. It's amazing. I spent years and years, physically going through, all this stuff and finding out what works, what's not. What's the best way to go about things in terms of mentality, in terms of energy, having within. So yeah, beyond trading again, I hope you guys apply this to your, life, overall well-being, you know, and exert higher energy in your everyday doings. And then when you go to trade, you carry that same energy with you, and that energy, tracks with it, good outcomes like making money, get your goals. So yeah, but I think that's about it for the psychology bit. Thank you guys for listening in and joining in. I appreciate it. Again, I hope this teaches you something. I hope you learn something. I hope it applies to your life and grow from it. Like I have. Years of defeat and failure is what led me to write this. I'll tell you. So, you know, years ago might not have made sense that I was losing so much money, that defeat was so excessive. But I guess if you keep going, you know, at some point you're teaching others how to go about things, and you write a couple paragraphs on, psychology and, well-being, energetic stuff. So yeah, thanks again, guys, for joining in. We could talk swings in a little bit. I'm gonna take a quick break. Let's do. I think the plan was 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. Eastern time. It'll give the West Coast guys or West Coast people some opportunity to join in the swing session too. So yeah, let's shoot for 8 p.m. EST. But yeah, thanks again, guys.
Yo, Anton. Uh,
Hey,
oops. Sorry, can you hear me?
yeah.
Hello?
Oh yeah. Also,
Okay.
I left out the part where if you guys want to bring up anything, you can speak or talk about psychology or applying mentality with the market. It's not all about me presenting. You guys can speak now too if you want.
Oh, you're gonna get me in trouble.
Uh-oh. Once you start speaking, you're not going to stop now. That's the
I know.
ceremony,
No,
yo.
no. I'm
Take it
setting
away.
a clock. I'm gonna
No,
set a
you're good.
clock.
Good to see you.
Here, here's the thing that's the most important part. You need if your psychology is messed up, you need to be around people that emulate what you want to be, but not
Mhm.
too far away. Okay, so if you're around, you're in ultimately you become what you're surrounded with, right? I'll give you an example. I have a very long relationship with milk. I'm forced
Mhm.
to think better because he thinks better, right? He's extremely disciplined. I'm not as disciplined. But if I want to be in that same running with him, I've got to be better. Does that make sense? Right? So
Mhm.
over the years, things rub off, right? For example, I used to trade 100 times a day. I know Milk takes very few trades, but they're meaningful. Over the last 5 years, I've cut down the number of my trades because my thinking is it's got to pay me more for my efforts, right? So you've got to surround yourself with the right people. That's number one. Okay.
Mhm.
Number two, you got to have somebody who's almost like you to team up with. Okay. This is going to be world of a difference for your psychology. Okay. What I mean by this is when you watch people and they're like, oh, I made 20 grand today. And you're like, shit, I only made $200, or you broke even, for example, right? That's not going to help your psychology. What you need is you need people that are at the same pace in your journey. And this is the great thing about RCG. There's people at all levels, right? You
Mhm.
need find people that are similar, okay? And then you take the journey together because you're going to have obstacles that other people have already gone through that they don't think of anymore, right? But you might still have a challenge with, right? And if you have the right person that you can team up with, right? Your psychology is going to be a lot better because you're going to start hitting milestones together, right? Uh, let's say you're learning spread monster and you just, you know, I still have a hell of a time because of, the fact that I have big ass reading glasses, just reading those little nuances, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but once you tell me where the nuance is, I can lay out that chart inside out, if that makes sense, right? So, you go through this with somebody else and they help you a little, you help you, and then you kind of build together and you build on the little successes. So, if you're having problems with success, A, put yourself in a good group of people, right? People who are talking about, not people who are going to tell you, hey, play this contract and you're going to make this amount of money, but the fundamentals. Why does it work? When does it not work, right? Um, you want to surround yourself with a good number of people. This place is great. That doesn't mean everybody's for you. Find the people that you resonate with, give them something, they'll give you something, and you'll build your psychology very, very quickly. Okay. And then once you find that person, take that journey with them. And it'll be really great. When I first started order flow, in a different manner. I knew order flow before, but I was shifting gears. I I I I was with Eco and I was with Enzeco, and we had just started at the same time. And they'd be like, I see this thing going up. I go, what the hell are you talking about? I'm going short. And then you start talking it out, right? And you're like, holy cow, I missed that. Or they're like, yeah, I could see that pullback, but I'm still going long after that pullback. And when you start to have that connection because you're at the same level and you're making those same epiphanies, right? It's going to carry you a long way. So psychology has a lot to do with who you're surrounded with and who you're interacting with, right? And remember, it only matters what you get to eat at the end of the day. Doesn't matter if somebody makes 10 grand, you're not making it. It's what you make. And you have to set your expectations based on what are you putting on the plate. You can't make 10 grand if you can't risk $100, right? It just doesn't add up. So don't put yourself in that position. Put yourself in the position of how many times did my plan succeed, right? And when my plan succeeds, does it pay me the right R&R to succeed on that percentage level, right? If that if that entire sentence doesn't resonate, you can ask me, you can DM me, you'll see me hanging around during the week, you can ask me in general. But basically, if you're at 50% and you can't make more than, 2x, you're never going to make it, right? You're going to need to make 3x just to make money, right? So if you keep cutting at, 1.5x or what have you, in the long term, you lose money. I didn't do the math right, but you get it, right? But that's what I have to say about psychology. I hope it helps.
Yeah, and like you said, to your point, you become who you hang around, of course, right? So if you're hanging around people that are, possess good energy, in this endeavor of trading, you can expect good energetic outcomes. Go ahead, VP.
Let's take you for example, right? How many people have followed your hard work and your logic, and now they can go back and say, okay, Ant would look at this chart, would look at this chart. All right, let me go back to him and show him a play that I like. What do you
Mm-hmm.
think? Right? That's a perfect example. You and I went at it and we found a bunch of stuff. You took it one way, you played it with long long positions, debit positions, and I played with credit positions, right?
Yep.
So it's just feeding off of each other. And you grew because you're like, hey, I didn't think about the credit position. And I grew because I didn't even think about the damn position in the first place, right? So this is how you grow as people in a community that inevitably makes you better. You don't have a choice. You have to be better if you keep at it, right?
Oh yeah. You know, mentality wise, if there's a group of people that have desperation to make money Monday morning, coming tomorrow, versus a group of people who have relaxed confidence in their endeavor of trading, I'm betting my money on the people with relaxed confidence are going to do well. I'm siding with those people. I'm being over there. You know, there's no longevity in this desperation mentality. You know, there's people that go through Fractal, go through tools, whatever, and they enter trades they don't be entering, you know, because the desperation of money, of making, you know, of performing well, of making trades. So, you know, you gotta be patient, not have the desperation. Desperation is a low, energetic human emotion, which tracks with it low, energetic outcomes, like losing money. That's the best way I could say that. And for those
Yeah,
who
one
just joined,
time
I could we can reread this paragraph thing I wrote. Let me know. I'd be open to. Go ahead, Eli.
I was watching some video about, psychology and attracting what you want. And one of the points was if you put too much emphasis on something, it's often not gonna it's not gonna go on your way. It's
Mhm.
not gonna happen. You kind of have to have that like nonchalant confidence you were just talking about.
Yeah, the relaxed confidence, you know, and beyond
Yeah,
training. This is kind of recent. I'm just applying this to my overall well-being of life. You know, in any endeavor I do, you know, this relaxed confidence. There's a lot of longevity in that. You know, no longevity in desperation. Gets you
definitely
nowhere.
agree.
Hmm. Again, for the people who joined in recently, I can read this. I wrote this today for you guys. The psychology bit. Again, it was a little indirect. You know, when people think psychology, they think of some mind and mental terminology, but I kind of have a twist on psychology and I include the energetic and faithful side of things. For those who just joined, I could read it again. Let me know. If not, we can close this up. Let's see. I guess I'll read it anyways. I got time. For those who just joined in, I'll read this. So yeah, I wrote this hours ago today. I kind of combined a bunch of old quotes and things I read from books, years and years of that, and years of defeat, failure, losing money, and the things I learned from that. Put it into words and writing, and I kind of all compiled it today into this paragraph or multiple paragraph thing. So yeah, I'll read it. Bear with me. My son's hitting the computer screen. 1 second. So you can see it's better so I can read. All right. So first, as a key point, I say don't try, do, just be. Just like we were saying, you know, trying over again, that desperation doesn't get you anywhere. And when I say just be that relaxed, confident self, you know, in your endeavor trading. Just be that. Affirm it, realize it in consciousness, persist it within that relaxed confidence. No desperation. You know, desperation comes from lack. Lack is a low energetic, you know, thing. So it tracks with it, low energetic circumstances. So that's how that works. But let me get into this. When it comes to achieving a goal, trying numerously is actually a low energy endeavor in respect to the process of physical manifestation. For example, if your goal is to be a better trader, don't wake up every day trying to perform better. Just be, like I said, just be that better version of yourself that's trading mentality wise. And then as you persist that mentality, physical reality will catch up. And then you'll become that counterpart of being. Soon as you awaken in the morning before market open, possess the feeling within of being a successful or great trader now. In terms of consciousness, regarding the process of manifesting the physical, for what is truly felt and believed within and backed by faith is far more real than what is currently seen by one's eyes of the physical world. What you may see now is a lack of funds or a lack of winning trades, whatever it may be. But as soon as you adopt the routine of trusting mentally that you already possess the traits that it takes to receive your goal, the amount of time between you and your goal dissipates largely. In most cases, it's not a matter of time when you achieve your goal, but rather the amount of energy you possess within determines the divine time arrival of such desired. Again, The amount of time between your desire and your physical possession of it is completely dependent on the magnitude of the energy you carry within. Then I have getting started, not next week, not tomorrow, but now. Now is the new future. For what is newly started now opens the door to never experience opportunities and occurrences. Get started now and trust the process with heightened levels of faith, while not trying to shortcut or constantly check on the status of progression. As the old saying goes, a seed doesn't blossom the moment it's planted, yet the harvest is certain. Meaning, for what is newly started now doesn't immediately yield you the physical results as you wish to see. Though as your energy persists in your endeavor, over time, the progression and end goal is certain. Not because you earned it, not because you deserved it, not because you did every little thing right, but because planting is always followed by harvest. And then I have assumption is key. Performing the law assumption is the most successful and quickest way to possess in hand what was once desired by the mind. Don't want, don't need, just assume the wish fulfilled within and carry with it the energy, relaxed confidence, and uttermost belief in a manifested process through faith. Don't imagine the feeling of the desire finally coming in the future. Feel the feeling of the wish fulfilled right now. Live and go about your day as if the wish was already fulfilled by the nature of happenings. Claim it. Claiming looks like acceptance. Realize it's already done by consciousness, then it be done by form. Remember, the time it takes your assumption to become reality is proportionate to the naturalness of being in it, the naturalness of possessing it within. Choose what you want to abide in this world, suspend judgment, refuse to accept what reason and the senses now dictate. And if you remain faithful to the new diet, you'll become the embodiment of the ideal to which you remain faithful. Then here again, I have the seed doesn't bloom the moment it's planted, yet the harvest is certain. But it's unseen now, shall be seen soon. The feeling I possess my heart and soul is far more real than the current sight reality in which I see with my eyes. And with this thing down here, I might be seeing with my eyes now that my portfolio is not doing too well. Let's take example. Let's say my TLT position's been stagnant. It's been not doing too well. I've seen that with my eyes, but within, I know what's coming, to reality. I know where that trade is going to take me. I'm not letting the short-term compression, the short-term loss of money, short-term defeat ruin what is destined to come. It's immense upside. I know it for a fact. I'm going to hold it within. That's the energy. I have the relaxed confidence, and I'm not desperate for any return on it. When it's divine time to occur for the expansion in TLT, it's going to happen when it does. Until then, I carry that relaxed confidence, no desperation, and adding or subtracting to position, just carrying that relaxed confidence within and going about that for the best results possible. So yeah, again, my twist of psychology is a little different with with the energy stuff, the faith stuff, the life well-being stuff. So I hope you can apply this to beyond trading, just your overall well-being and your life experiences. So again, yeah, thanks for listening in and tuning into this psychology bit. I need a sip of water now. Thank you. Yeah, I might take a quick break. Been speaking a lot, though I can stay on. I can stay here. If someone else want to share their screen or talk about screens, that's fine. I know Eli want to talk about some things. If you want, center the stage for a minute, that's fine. I don't mind. But I'm done with my psychology bit, that's for sure. Thank you. Awesome. We have a good group here. I'm just gonna take a quick few minute break. I'll just do that. So if someone in the meantime wants to go over a few things, you're welcome to take over the stage. Your chance to talk now, VP. Can you talk for 20 minutes for me?
Oh my God, I can talk, but what is the? I'm not prepared to talk. If anybody has
No?
questions, I'll gladly answer
Uh,
questions if I can. Right? If
awesome.
you got some fractal questions, you got psychology questions, spread questions, ask. I'm just working on my computer, so feel free to ask me. Order for questions. I'll try my best to answer them. If you got a question, just unmic yourself and ask me.
Great, thank you.
Really, you should go to George if you want to learn how to trade spread. That guy's killing it. What's everybody playing? Are we doing QQQs during the week? Come on, chime in. What does everybody like to trade? Uh, what's your favorite wave sequence? Give me something to work with, guys. Nada, dead silent. I'm
There's
choking
somebody
today.
typing.
Oh, I'm not looking.
Let's see what they say.
Yeah, let's see what they say. Hold on.
He said
I
he's
forget
gonna
the
play
chat.
PLTR.
I cry every time somebody says PLTR. I owned it from $9 to $29, and then I got out, and then the thing just popped one night. Okay, I left a stupid amount of money on the thing. I haven't looked at PLTR, but let's see. We can look at it. I'm not going to share my screen, but let's. I should actually have fractals up. That would help. And I know. Yeah, I don't even have PLTR on my list. Let me load Ant's list. He usually has the whole world on it. Why don't you look at it? You're damn good at it. Tell me what the 7-1 daily tells you. PLTR. Damn. I'm gonna have to look. I'm gonna have to put it in. I'll add it real quick. PLTR. Okay. All right. I'm loading it right now. Okay. Okay. So look, 7-1 daily. We are definitely underneath the average zone. Let me put up the bands. So this is the larger time frame, right? 1-200 daily. I'm gonna throw up some pictures. Give me 1 second. And again, the best person who's going to do this is Ant. He just does this so well. Where I'm going to put the pictures is in professional chat, if that's okay. Well, yours is even faster than me. She put it up. Let me put on the bands. Sorry, I'm not prepared for this. I would have done all my homework. All right, here we are. If you look at this, we've crossed the 50. We're just touching some of the clusters. So the way I look at, and I'm just going to read the 1 daily. I like the 7 daily personally, but we'll start with the 1 daily, right? Number one, we're on an L1, okay? Usually when you're on an L1, it's either going to say, hey, no, we're on a H1. Sorry, forgive me, we're on an H1. Damn colors get me every time. It's a very small candle. We just made an L1, right? So usually when you have an L1 or an H1, I kind of wait. I want to see a little bit more because L's tend to flip a lot more back and forth very quickly, especially if you don't make a lot of distance, right? So I want to see an L2. I want to see us get over the 80% or the 50% line if you're going long, right? But one of the things that I love to do is look at open states. And I don't see an open state till we get to the 50% line, right? There's an open state right at the 50% line, 148.51. Okay. And then you have your next one all the way up at 163.92. I want to see some momentum if you're going long. This doesn't excite me. This tells me let's watch it. Okay. But give me an L2. Let me see something build here. Um, I would want to see how it reacts at that 149, at that 50% level. It's not that far off, right? We're at 143. That's a intraday reachable level. You get above that every time you get to an open state, especially on larger things, it's a crossroad, right? So when you get there, you have to ask yourself, well, what's going to happen? Well, there's three things that could happen, right? It's going to reject off of that and come back. Okay. Then you could say, all right, pull back, and that open state now becomes resistance, and we can try to measurably hit it again and surpass it. It kind of sticks around at the open state, wasting your premium. Or three, we break through. If you're in front of it and you like it, when you break through, I like this. I like this. I like this up to where you can get to the top of the average box, right? The average green box. And then when you get there, you have to ask yourself another question, right? So we're talking 152, 153 areas at the top of that box, right? So you've got 6 points, okay? So you've got 6 points of for it to prove it got to, that H2 last time and then it turned around, right? So that's the way I would look at it. I would put that on Ant's list um, for him to go into real depth. He'll go, 500 days. He'll look at 7 or 8 different wavelengths and he'll really come up with it nicely. What I've seen other people do is they'll take the 7-1 daily, they'll map it out. Okay. They'll look at the vectors for your pullbacks, right? Because you have to get underneath the vector for it to change under the pivot. Then they'll switch over to the 760, right? And what the 760 will do will give you a more better intraday picture. Okay. So if you're trading maybe for a day or two, right? Or if you're trading for the day, the 760 is a great way to take a look at it. If you're looking at the 760, we haven't hit the 80% line yet. We're in an H3 on the 760. So the last 3 hours, it's been, going on its way up. Your point of negation is 141.82. The vector will change. But so I'm keeping that 141.82. If I'm going long and we can't bounce off of 141.82, take your premium, save it, right? Wait for another setup, go for it again. What's my targets? My targets are 144, 147. When you start to stack these open states, the 147 is an open state, the 144.83, that's your 760, 80% line. Those are good first targets. If you have multiple contracts, maybe you take a little bit off at the first target, the second target. Where the real fun is when you get up to 156, right? And that's the 20% line. And you really don't have any open states all the way up to 164. So there's not a lot of intermediary things that are getting me excited. What Russell really likes to do is have multiple open states. When you have like 2, 3, 4, 5 open states built up pretty close, they're like magnets, right? When you get there, they're like, okay, I took one, I got the confidence, let's go take the next one, let's go take the next one. You kind of get that trickle effect. Those are really good setups. And I don't see that there. Doesn't mean it can't go up, but I would have loved to see 3 or 4 different open states for it to hit. That would give me some encouragement. Then, if you wanted to actually fine tune your position and say, okay, you know what, I like it, I've got my levels, but I really want to dig deep in it. I'm going to spend Monday morning and it's up on my screen. Then you might want to jump into like a 2015 or a 7.5 minute, right? And you're looking for that little finesse, right, as to where you want to go, right? I hope that helps you on PLTR. Um, I'm not reading the chat. Please let me know what I missed. People are looking at Hood and UNH. I'm going to let Ant tackle all those. Premium always gets inflated with earnings. That's just it. In fact, one of the classic IV plays is you buy, uh, you know, the week after, okay, and you sell the current weeks, and you do it in a way. It's a complicated strategy, so it's not something I can just explain. I'd have to show it, but you play the IV crush. So IV always, in fact, there's studies where a lot of times you can buy, let's say the option is on Thursday, you can buy it on Monday, and as long as you don't have a delta problem, if it's going in the same direction, the IV will get you 10, 15, 20%, right? And then what happens is, as soon as the year comes out, you can't do anything because it's aftermarket, right? But the next morning, you'll get a few minutes of IV pump, and then the IV just collapse. I got to take this call, so I'm going to let user take over.
Maybe user is not here right now. Is she? Oh, okay. Where did you leave off, AVP? I would stream my screen, but I'm not at my setup. Uh, yeah, he's on a call right now. What did you swing? Calls or puts? Nasdaq.
Do you guys always watch the, like the call and put signal line, like if you're wanting to buy a call, do you guys watch that? And then it's like, so when it goes green, that's when you buy or whatever?
I always do when I'm day trading.
I mean, I haven't done it yet, but when I've seen it on other people's screen, I've noticed like a lot of times they'll say to watch it, but then it looks like it's already way green, you know, and so obviously at that point you wouldn't want to take it, right?
I'd highly recommend you doing it. And then also, as you watch
Do
it,
you,
you'll gain screen time and you'll
it
learn
will
from
kind of
that.
come to me when the best time to take it is.
Yeah, and then on the note of how you're saying when it's already like way gone, you would stay away. What you want to do from there is you want to look for a reentry. So a reentry would be if the call is already going, let's say, ideally you'd want to see like a tabletop if you want to enter.
Okay.
You're familiar with the tabletop, right?
Yeah, I'm familiar with the tabletop.
Yeah, so if you want to enter the trade, ideally you'd want to wait for one of those.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a whole laundry list for earnings this week. I'm interested in the cheap ones, like SoFi. I wonder what SoFi is going to do. QCOM. Wait, QCOM has earnings again? I swear they just had earnings.
Isn't it better to buy earning calls and puts like a week before earnings? Is it because of the IV? Or is it okay to get some, you know, like a few days before?
You
I
can.
think
It's
it's not
just
good. You just have to be
yeah,
careful.
like with the UNH lotto we took. That's why we treat it as a lotto because it was risky.
Okay.
It was risky, but we at least marked up the trade using data to back it up.
I feel like Meta always runs. That's probably going to run, but I mean, I could be wrong. But I feel like for the most part, it's always kind of, and that's just going off of what I remember, not data.
Yeah, I got a good 30 minutes. I can go over some things now. Sure, we can do that too. I'm a pulled out now. So yeah, no, thank you. And going back to the psychology bit, this is great actually. It's ironic. I just pulled the fractal and I had this Regeneron Wave 3 Daily, which I bought Friday with shares. This, remind me of the psychology bit because here I bought shares at 760, right, on this big green candle we had Friday. K was a sign, green stimulation, leaving golden area. Everything looked great. But I'm sorry, Thursday. I think I bought it Thursday. Sorry. I'm just getting confused. Thursday I bought it. This was Friday. Friday, the following day, it went down a couple percent. Things were looking great at first with this K, green stimulation, left the golden area. We're above pivot. Pretty strong candle on Thursday. But the following day immediately went down. In terms of the psychology of things, this is not where you panic or you have desperation to do something. I sat back with my relaxed confidence I talked about earlier, and then look what it did. It closed back up above pivot. If I would have raced towards, oh my God, I gotta go buy puts, if I did that, the stock closed a little higher than the low. As you can see, that candle there went a little higher. So this is why you don't freak out. And this is why the psychology side of things is so important. I'm playing with these open states here, and then for a trade, if it does do well this trade, I'm happy own this stock for a while because I've done my research on the fundamental side, value side. It's a great value stock. This is something, if it doesn't work out as a trade, fine. I'll hold it for a year or longer. This is a great company. I mean, if you want to get into fundamentals like 4Ps, 14, hardly no debt, strong free cash flow. They have a deal with the government to lower drug prices, but they're going to sell higher volume of them now. They have FDA approval. Their key drug Dupixent is doing well. So lots of good things go on here, and they have earnings in a few days, I believe. Let's see. The 29th, actually, before market open. Maybe this was one we could get from Russell in the earnings splice to look at. The only problem is these premiums are really expensive for Regeneron. On the money is going to be 25, I think, dollars, so 2,500 per contract. Really expensive. Part of the reason why I went with shares too. Just bought a couple shares. Shares be at 760, yeah, or 757, I think, right now. But that was my approach to this, not the options, the shares this time. But like I said, if it doesn't work out in the short term, trade wise, includes these stacked opens, then so be it. I'll sit back with my relaxed confidence and I'll hold it longer because it's a great company. That's my mentality of this. But let's look at the fractal here. It's interesting. Let me put more days on here. I can get to what you guys were talking about a minute ago. I just want to show this real quick. Again, I bought shares of this Thursday. And then the following day, Friday, it went down quite a bit. But, I said, oh well, goes down the short term. Still a great company, really strong balance sheet. This stock is worth $1,157 on a DCF model, discounted cash flow. So, and I want to say 8 out of 10 times what I've seen, those stocks get to those price targets at DCF, unless some kind of outlier event occurs. But as I go through the waves here, this wave 7 daily, we have all these stacked opens. This blue line shows the average move higher, which would close these two, and 829 is up there. But this K, as you can see, is red. As we were talking about earlier, the standard deviation of things, the K might look like this. It might not always look green, like a long green streak like this. Sometimes a little bit of green K assigned and then immediately flips red. But remember, what matters most is that, well, first off, what matters most is you sit back and relax. You don't rush. You're not desperate to put on any kind of trade or any kind of hedge or anything. And be patient to see what the standard deviation is going to do. Because what matters most is what color is it when it leaves the golden area. That will tell you the direction of the next sharp move. So if it's red out the golden area, then it's compression lower. It might be pretty sharp. And vice versa if it's green. I really think it's going to be green from my research and what I see on here. I keep looking through this. But again, yeah, earnings 29th before market open. A couple days from now. Here in the Wave 10 daily, We had K, green, standard deviation, golden area, immediately flip red. But this doesn't mean race the put side, because this went from red, green, red. Why can't it go back to green and be a K again and leave the golden area green? It could. You don't know yet. That's why we don't chance, we don't guess. We wait to see some clues and some confluence first, and then we go from there. There's no guessing in this. But they cost me, a lot of money. I'm losing, because of, like I just said, it went from red to green to red with M assigned, some time ago. I would do that. I'd rush into the put side, like I just said, don't do. I've been through that, don't do that. Gotta be patient here. See what the standard deviation color, see if it's a K or M. When you see it, leave the goal area first. As much as I like predicting things, I don't predict with your money here, because it could be any color out of here. You just don't know it yet. But like I said, I believe it's gonna be green, it's gonna be up, is what I'm reading about the company, in the physical world things, the deal, the White House, the government, their drug prices. But the thing is, too, that headline, I could be misinterpreting that too, because it sold off Friday, probably because maybe the investors didn't like that Regeneron's get the lower prices now, because maybe that means lower earnings, lower EPS. But I don't think it would be, because lower prices offers more customers, to come in and buy their products. So you lower the price and you get higher volume, and it's a wash, right? But yeah, real quick, let's just to wrap this up on Regeneron. I do think it is upside coming for this one. Look at this. This is interesting real quick. I know not a lot of people look at the wave 100 daily. I do a lot for going long things. See a few things here. So we've been in the K for a while, green standard deviation, whatever, we went up to about almost halfway to extreme, to 0.8 level. And then now we're down to golden area again with red standard deviation. Does that mean we rushed in the put side? No, absolutely not. I used to think it did. I used to think, oh, the fractal, it's 100% going to signal that it's going to be downside, it's imminent, but it changes often sometimes, depending on what it is you're looking at. Again, what matters most is what color is the standard deviation leaving the golden area. That tells you the flow of things. It might turn green again, then price can close these open states, after earnings. And you look here, I'll tell you what I'm seeing right here. This consolidation, right? So, and here, expansion. So a lot of times I'll see, an expansion, we'll finally get above the line of neutrality, the pivot. We'll consolidate for a while. I view this, the physics side of things, as gathering kinetic energy to make a sharp move, either much higher to its open states or L1. And then it lines up with what the standard deviation represents. We're in the golden area. Earnings is in 3 days. So we know for a fact there's a sharper move than average inbound for Regeneron. So that's step one. We know there's a big move, a move bigger than usual, coming for the stock. Earnings in 3 days. We have that figured out. It's going to be a big move. 2 is which direction is it going to be? That's the other part. And then I guess 3 is, the timing. But the timing is, it's going to be by the 30th, 4 days from now, the day after earnings. It should be, up big or down big, So I can tell you what I believe is that's upside. But if I'm wrong with earnings, like I said, this is something that I could hold for a little bit. I'm in shares, I'm not in calls, I'm not losing money holding it, or in terms of premium decaying. I don't have to worry about that. So another part reason why I took shares. And a lot of times too, in terms of a strategy for something like this that has impending sharp move coming, has earnings coming up, what I used to do a lot was buy a bunch of shares, go long, and then also buy adequate amount of puts or just some kind of insurance against the shares. You can even do a spread and just capitalize on a big move happening. You just need the thing to go up big or down big. If it goes kind of flat sideways the day after, I guess that's not good. But I've done that a lot. I think that's what I'm gonna do. As soon as this earnings splice update comes out, I'll be posting about that strategy. But yeah, it's done wonders for me. This is kind of important here. So again, we consolidated for a while, ever since late 2025. And now prices figure out, does it want to hit this open state at 821, or will it go back to vector or even lower to L1? One of those scenarios will play out. What is this here? And it's crazy too, is you could take some metrics of fundamentals, like modeling, like DCF, discount cash flow, to find the value of things, and then go on the fractal, and you can find numbers that repeat. So like I said, this on a discounted cash flow model is $1,157 per share right now, and there's an imprint band there at 1226. But if we go back, let's see if there's anything close to 1150. There's 1056. There's 1197. That's pretty close to 1150 in value with that model from DCF. So that's pretty cool. That lines up there. The open state and the fundamental side of things line up. But again, it could be, here, let me delete these lines real quick. It could be short-term downside. Maybe the investors don't like something they say in earnings. That happens a lot. They buy the rumors, sell the news. Sometimes the news is good and it sells off still. That's just how it goes. A lot of these semiconductor stocks beat earnings. They talk about all this demand with AI, these data centers and sales and all this projection, whether it be true or not. As they reported that, a lot of stocks sold off, like Micron, like AMAT, TSM. A lot of them sold off after reporting earnings beat and strong guidance. So be wary of that. But okay, as I was going to draw here, price may come down to this vector. Because look, last time it hit vector was, well, it hasn't hit vector at all for support on its wave 150. Sometimes it does that. It comes down to this vector for support. Then price figures out, okay, it's not that weak. It's not going to make an L1. It's going to come down to vector for support and then go higher like this. And then look at this. This is compression, expansion. So another reason why I took shares, because if there is indeed a impending short-term downside cycle Regeneron down to this vector, I'll be okay long-term because I have shares, whereas if I just bought naked calls, I've been screwed. So I took the relaxed, confident approach to this few shares. And if it doesn't play out in my favor in the short term, so be it. I'll hold it for a little longer. And I don't mind owning this company. It's a great company. So $80 billion stock or company with little to no debt at all. I think it's like 100 million or 10 million long-term debt, which is nothing with that market cap. And strong cash flow. So I think in this current environment, you gotta stick with these strong value stocks if you're going long stocks. I'll argue. But all right, we want to go over swings now. What do you guys want to see or talk about? I can pull it up. Let me know. Intel, yeah, wasn't up now like 80% in a month. Pretty crazy. But this irrationality, seems to last a lot longer than you think. That's the problem. Doesn't mean you go short it. You know, that's not good mentality. Go back to our psychology bit. Just because it's up, super irrationally, doesn't mean you go bet on what's rational right away. The rationality outlier could last a lot longer than you think.
Mags.
Mags. Someone said UNH. How do you like UNH after reported earnings? They revise their guidance higher. Did they come in line or beat earnings? I didn't read it too much. I should have. But let's view it on a chart. Let's see if this thing can keep going, or is it hitting resistance? And this thing ran after earnings too. Kept going up. This
Did
is
you end up
one
taking
where.
it?
What's that?
Did you actually end up taking that auto?
No, actually, I had. I didn't have the time to with work,
Ah,
fortunately. But I'm happy the people who took it made money. I'm not desperate for quick funds, so I'm not gonna care. That's the go back to the psychology bit. I'm gonna affirm and believe. So yeah, I'm not FOMO'd with that. And it takes a while to get rid of that FOMO. There's so much of it. But yeah, no, I'm happy with that worked out well as we thought it would. People made money. I saw some contracts with $1.40 to 6.5 or something. It's pretty good. I'll tell you in those wave 3, see stacked open states. Price to target those. The thing with this, with UNH, first, if this is your first time looking at UNH, always look at the linear. I always look at the linear first. No matter what I'm looking at in the fractal, always look at the linear. See what the performance has been, year to date, year over year. Figure that out first. Because then I'd realize, oh, UNH, is on the rebound. It's been selling off for a while, went sideways. Now it's starting to go back up, and this earnings has really helped it. So with that being said, this is a rebound play. On the bigger time frames, it's looking like we're just getting started to the upside. And due to that respect, the probability for seeing outliers in the shorter waves and aggregations is pretty heightened. I can show you the wave 100 or 200 here. 2,000 days. Look, we're just getting started. Ain't that something? There's no H1, there's no high of 1 above pivot. So what I'm gonna do is I'm keep going back and forth between this. So remember what this looks like. Now let's go to wave 3 and look at those open states. So with what we're seeing on the wave 200 versus the wave 3, it kind of gives the wave 3 daily an excuse to perform an outlier higher and close those open states, because there's no high of 1 above pivot in the wave 200 daily yet. And in order to get the high of 1 daily, or maybe the high of 1 above pivot on this 200 daily, most likely see the outlier run on the shorter waves. We got 395 all the way up there. So yeah, unless something negative comes out, then maybe this slows down or stops or reverses. But I think you stay at the momentum. That's what I think. Earnings sounded a lot better than most people thought. Sounded better than what the street was forecasting. Talk about good guidance. So that's always good. 385 open state there. And one thing I always look for is the height and the distance between price and that vector. It matters a lot, because the higher the price is from vector, the more time it has to maybe come down and go sideways, and then ultimately figure out, does it have the fuel to close at 385 you see up there. This thing can come down a little bit, go up a little bit, go sideways a little bit, and then vector, let's say, catches up there, and then it figures out, oh shoot, the vector caught up with price. Now we got to make a decision, and then it goes up and hits that, just like right here. See how we had chop, we went sideways, then price started battling the vector. It was like a tug of war right there. And sometimes upon that kind of tug of war for level, you see price get real explosive, and it did there to the upside. And then again right here for another time before it finally made it L1. So yeah, it's always a race between price and vector, that projectile and the vector. So time is not on price's side when it comes to hitting these open states. It needs to kind of close them as soon as it can, you know, unless it buys time by gapping up like right here. This gap up from earnings kind of buys time on this wave 10 daily from price to vector. You know, this thing could do compression a little bit or go sideways a little bit and still be able to close the open state. So that's always one thing I look at too. And I didn't really learn that until using the fractal for months and months. Over time, you'll start looking more in depth with things.
Luke actually taught me something on the wave 7 with white space.
Yeah.
He showed me how like a good if you want to play white space, a good technique is wait for it to cross into it, and then if you get a pullback into that
Let's see.
same imprint, it usually goes
Did I
from there
disconnect?
after
Or
coming
wait,
back.
what's going on here? Eli, I think you're.
Hello? Hello?
Can you hear me now? Okay. I think I had cut my Wi-Fi or something. I'm back.
Oh,
Glad that didn't happen
no,
during
you're
my
good.
psychology. Yeah, go ahead. Again, sorry.
Oh yeah, I was just saying, for like if you want to play white space, you can after price breaks into the white space, you can wait for a pullback, and then that's when you want to enter. And
Sure. Yeah. And apply the mentality of things. Don't be desperate to enter that trade. You know, have that patience, that relaxed confidence, wait for that perfect entry, and then go long or whatever the strategy is, Yeah. But like I said, go back to this 200. Look, I mean, they forecasted, good things to come, like, guidance. I think they beat earnings. Earnings report is better than expected. And we see here in the fractal, in this wave 200 daily, this thing's in rebound mode, and it's just underway. This past few weeks might seem, we're overextended, but really, on this chart, we're just getting started to the upside because this thing's been compressing for, over a year, right? A little over a year. So, if you ever see like an outlier, whether it be up outlier or down outlier on the shorter waves, like wave 3 daily, always check not just the linear, but the wave 200 daily. See what's going on. Because like I just showed you, I like comparing the two. The short time frame with the wave 3 daily and the wave 200 daily. Get a bigger picture of what's really going on. This current chart we're looking at right now tells me the probability to see outlier moves higher on the shorter waves is heightened because the wave 200 daily, is just getting started to the upside. It's going to take maybe a little bit more upside to get to that high one. So we'll transition soon to high one. All right, what else? I can stay here till about 8. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's a little different. So, in regards to this wave 200 daily we're looking at right now, look just for example, look how long we've been under pivot for. Like I said, a little over a year and a few months, I think it is. So on the wave 200 daily, this is something that lasts above or below pivot for a while. So if you're intraday trading, this is kind of maybe irrelevant. You know, this when we get a high one, it's likely to last for maybe months and months. You know, but I guess you could kind of you can kind of apply it to your intraday trading because we might see outlier moves in the intraday to help get this to the high of one, the wave 200 daily. But if I'm intraday trading, UNH or whatever, I'm probably not looking at this. If I'm intraday trading, I'm not going to hold from market open and market close. It may be a 10, 20-minute trade or whatever. So I wouldn't even look at this. But this is for if you wanted to buy calls in UNH out on like June 18th, on the money calls, this is something you look at maybe, I would say. But if you're looking at a contract that expires tomorrow, Monday, you probably don't want to look at this because this wave 200 daily, we could go down right away Monday, or we can go up right away Monday. We don't know yet. So yeah, I wouldn't mix up with intraday. Oh yeah, well, hey, maybe that June 18th might be something. That might just be a great trade. Maybe we look for short-term pullback in this name and go long, on the money, or a little bit out the money, calls, or do call spread, more professional way to go about this. Because we don't know the timing. Look how long this thing went sideways for. We might be right with our direction, might be right with our thinking of calls, but what if we go sideways for a few more weeks or a month and we have the June 18th calls? It's like, oh shoot, well, this premium, this time decay is killing us. So that's where you do the spread, call spread. Yes. Yeah, for sure. That's something you watch day over day too, from my experience. Because yeah, again, you don't know how long it's gonna take to transition to that high one wave to our daily. We know it's gonna be soon. We don't know the exact day, but as for tomorrow, we as Russell likes the wave 760 minute. Going to the next day, he likes to look at this. So, and I do too. I don't look at it as much as I should, but this is great because look at here. We have KSI green standard deviation, and we're above pivot. There's open state at 357, and then we put the percent band on. Okay, yeah, 357 lines up the open state. It's only, $3 higher from current price. We're at 354 right now. Maybe hitting that 357 open state right here in this wave 760 minute might just give us that high of one on the wave 700 daily. We don't know yet. Or it gets to this average move or this average percent above pivot area, and that gives us the high of one. And then a lot of times, depending on how strong the high of one is above pivot, usually we see some short-term compression after that. A lot of times, in general, it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of force to get that high of one above pivot to those higher waves. Because if I go back to the screen of the wave 200 daily, this thing's been compressing and consolidating for so long that it's going to take something pretty good to get this thing going the other way. It's kind of like saying psychology bit of things. It's kind of like saying you've been negative for so long, been doing so bad for so long that you might not recognize when the good things finally happen to
Hey,
you.
just real quick,
You know,
just real quick though,
Thanks
man.
a lot.
Like,
Go ahead, Harris.
hey, what's up, buddy?
What's up?
Yeah, just give me a watch that if you anything over 100, you just have to watch, man. Because if you look to the left hand side, those below pivot that are bearish can actually be higher targets because what we tried to do, like from the very current candle to the left hand
Mhm.
side, that's past historical volatility, and from the current candle to the right hand side, that's projected that's projected price, and so I would just say just switch the numbers up a little bit with wave, like like I'm like really really fucking good, dude, with like wave fractals and stuff like that. Been doing it for a long time, and I yeah,
Do you look at the 200 daily at all?
not at all unless I'm like looking at an investment with a small cap like penny stock.
Mhm.
I can give you some. I think it's CYN. I give an example of whatever. If you look at that, it's like down, down, down. So like if you look at like a wave 200 daily, uh, with a penny stock and like small cap will look like it kind of looks like a zero DTE on the day of
Mhm.
expiry, towards like down, down, down. Like and
Mm.
yeah. So this is UNH right there.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I tend to. So it depends on like what is your actionable trade? What are you trying to get out of this? Basically, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like,
Right.
so what am I trying to get in? What am I trying to get out? What am I trying to get expected? Am I investing? Am I in trade, or am I trading? Like those are two separate things, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
so
You
when I go with that, no more than like look at 50 real quick,
Yeah.
like a quarter of that, and then throw fractals up. Yeah,
382.
yeah, yeah, and see where we have these open states right there. I'm trying to
Yeah.
look on your chart real quick. Um, I apologize. I'm trying to jump back in.
It's all right. Got this open state
So
382.
yeah. So when you look at that real quick, like what are we actually trying to say? Like 50 daily, like that that's something that you can should consider coming in from a month, but looking out towards a month, right? So
Yeah.
we narrow it down, and then go. So what I normally do is like look at. I can't read them or whatever, but if you do wave 760, narrow it down to like a weekly.
Mhm. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, like you said, you don't know what's going to exactly happen in the following days. This wave 50 daily. You know, look at this here. It went up, sold off a couple days, went green again. You really don't know exactly what it's going to
Yeah,
do.
but we
But
do
you
know.
could probably you can
But
stay at
no,
some point. You might flow to that open state there.
yeah, exactly. We do know, like, but we say if it comes up here, then on this open state, then we can attempt it here, and we can attempt it next. Dude,
Hmm.
like fucking like fractal like makes it like almost impossible to fail, dude. Like you will fail, but if you fail, you know you fail, and then yeah. But
Yeah.
um,
Excuse me. Yeah. Well, like I was saying a little bit ago, this open state here, we don't know when it's going to close. We don't know what the short term is going to look like.
I think
But
within like a
odds
month or
are
two,
we close it. Yeah, we close at some point, month or two maybe. You know.
maybe like next week. But so I said alert. Yeah, so I said alert. And they're like, hey, I want to know right now on this Way 7 Daily if this. So you guys set your alerts on your church, by the way, and you're watching this right now live. So I want to like set my alerts on my charts so that in the event that this approaches this target, then I want to know about it, because then what are you gonna do? You pull like a wave 760, and like you like kind of like narrow down into the nitty gritty. There you go, down to the nitty. Okay, so like here, look, wait, stop, don't expand it. So put the percent bands on, put the
Yeah.
percent bands on right there. So look at the 5% bands. look at that value and look at the wave 7 value and compare those two. So as we come into the landing spot, is it realistic that we're going to hit this in this week? Well, maybe like 20% of the time, 30% of the time, 50% of the time, 20% of the time, 80% of the time. And we're going to narrow it down each time.
Yeah,
That's how
I like it.
it never fails, dude. So a lot of us like play breakouts. So like here's the reason I don't play breakouts, by the way, with swing trading. In case anyone is wondering, because I'm going to be talking about a lot of this. I'm going to be like talking like town hall
Hmm.
coming week. And the reason I don't like playing breakouts, it's just not my forte. You know, for the most part, it's not like if you think about like what Anton's showing on the screen right now with UNH, it's most of the most of the price action is contained within these. I like to play like way extremes out back end, and
Yeah,
because you know
many
why?
ways to go
If
about
we
it.
go like 2%, if it's 2%, that we reach a 2% band on the bull side. You know what that means? That means, dude, literally, that means like, or 2% bands on the bull side. That means literally we have like 98% chance of a reversion happening. And then what do? I know like I heard like a few people like asking this a little bit earlier, but what that actually means is that 100% of the time, we have the vector to target. So the vector will be a target.
Hmm.
Um,
Let me pull up
yeah.
this.
So we can target the vector and you can be safe. But a lot of times, like I was saying, like our earlier in chat, is that it'll be like one or two strikes away. So what does that mean? It means like you're it's going to be a higher price of entry. You're not going to higher price of gain, but you're going to get a bigger percentage upon that higher price of entry of that capital. So like 10% of like $100 versus 10% of like $10 or whatever. So,
Yeah,
sir,
for
yes, sir.
what no, you're good. Yeah, thanks for chiming in. As
Yeah, sorry.
always.
I just got back from like a really big walk. My girlfriend, she's like, "Bleh."
Oh, good. All valuable information you spoke of. Thank you. I was gonna say right here, I've seen this happen sometimes, like a V-shaped recovery, a little bit compression, and then we see that explosive upside. So those percent bands, 10%, 5% up there, 681. And as I click through the fractal, what's always helped me is remembering these levels. So I'll take a picture, write it down. Like for instance, okay, let's remember that there's a 10% band at 681.62 on this wave one daily. Now let's see if there's any open states that say a similar thing. So now we're on wave three. Let's do 1,000 days. See if there's anything here. Might not be anything on this,
What's that?
but
Yeah,
we'll
because
keep clicking.
yeah. So
Look at
like,
that.
yeah, let me actually like go to Q, go to wave 7 daily, slowly bring it back to wave 1, and then back up to
Yeah.
wave 20. And I'm going to show people like
Yeah. Yeah, just like I said a minute ago, remember that 681 10% band, the wave one daily. Well, there's 679.53, 682.78, fairly close. Sometimes it'll be very close, in number levels. But those are stacked opens there. Looks pretty compelling as of right now. We're above vector by a good amount. So
kind of crazy because
it is.
whenever you like H1, H2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, what does it tell you? YOLO L1, right? But it's not the case. But
Well, After our psychology session, YOLO is not in our vocabulary anymore.
I think it well to some degree, but like to most people, it's not.
Yeah, yeah.
What about a calculated lotto?
What's that?
Calculated lotto, educated
Oh,
lotto.
yeah. Calculated guess or
Yeah,
yeah.
like
Thank you for that. Keeps
yeah, no,
covered.
for sure. Yeah, for sure. So like okay, so like we're looking at like a wave 10 like a daily, right? Anton.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have also like the Nasdaq with Russell showing wave 20 daily thing and
20.
do detail. So okay, so here's the thing that like when people throw out charts and chat or whatever have you, like dude, it's like throw out details like days to load, so we can like figure out like where the rest of these things are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speak of open space, white open space people speak of. We're in that. This way 20 daily. Once we get above this average percent, it's outlier mode. This is where the explosive moves, go, happen, and continue. You have all these input bands here on the side representing targets for price to hit. And then we have 832 open state way above there, which we can argue is irrational, but still target. And the standard deviation is 0.9, which is halfway to extreme, under 2,000 days. It fluctuates as you add more days, obviously.
All right. Wait 7 daily. Wait 7 daily. Write it down.
All right, you want to see wave 7?
For, yeah, that's good because that's what most people want to look at, right?
Yeah, right here. Yeah, this is probably, I argue, one of the most important things to look at on QQ right now. This wave 7 daily, 2,000 days. Because these stacked open states, you know, it took, if you think about it this way, it took a lot of energy, like a lot of kinetic energy, a lot of good things that happened for Q to get this high in the first place. And then it's already near all these open states. Price, if it has a mind, it thinks, it came all this way already. I might as well try, to go even higher, continuous outlier to close these open states before revising lower. So, given that,
One
you can see
thousand,
price
like
being stubborn a lot. Bulls have been
no.
pretty stubborn in this intraday,
So like,
trades.
all right. So
Yeah.
like, we're listening to you guys. Like, look at wave 7 daily that we're gonna get slowly pulled up into those like open states. But if the Nasdaq that Russell, like the Nasdaq like closet that Russell was showing like wave 20 daily or whatever, if that doesn't, if that pulls back, then we go from here. If we go up through that little band, do you guys know what I'm talking about?
He's
Mhm.
referring to the wave 20 that Russell sent out. I don't know if you saw it, Anton.
I did not. If it was today, I did not see it.
Yeah.
I think it
And
was today
then
or yesterday. He has a chart because Nasdaq composite on the wave 20, it's coming up to a resistive zone. So we can
Hmm.
either tap into it and break out through it, or this is the end of the bull
and
cycle,
And they
basically.
then
run.
we have a second chance up to the resistance band, right? LA. Yeah, LA.
Yeah,
Let's
there's
go that.
there's one level and then there's another level above that.
Yep. And then so as we apply that to our Q charts and tech charts and things of that nature, uh, uh, yep, they're gonna be like remarkable. And and the reason why like I bring that, the reason why I bring that up is because like contract values are very different of what will. Do you guys know what a beta value is? Like how the over market with like text or just over market will be uh, to bring them up into these open states or below. It's not even about open states and below. It's pretty much how the overall market works, like the beta value, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And so if so, like I I don't mind paying like $1,300 for like a really good play, for like but a lot of people don't have that kind of cash. Like a lot, they don't have that kind of money, man. I mean, they really don't. They really, really don't. And I would never suggest like they do. And so, like, I'm looking for like plays that are meaningful. AMD, like, I'm surprised. Like, that's pretty expensive. But oh yeah, like, no, like, not 200, but 20. Yeah, look at that. That's what Russell was talking about
Oh, I
earlier.
know, but this is really important. More important than anything else, I'll argue. The standard deviation being that close to golden area, which means despite this big spike higher, whether it be a short cover or whatever it was, this sharp squeeze higher is not really in golden zone yet. So we have a bigger squeeze move coming soon at some point,
Oh, we do like downside. Yeah, downside.
which could be downside. Could
No,
respect
it's
that
going to
bigger
be
line
downside.
lower.
Well, yeah, perhaps.
We go back to, or there's some catalyst or whatever for further squeeze upside. You know,
Yeah. So I'm not gonna
with
be cautious. Like, just like
here,
I'm gonna be like very cautious. Like that wave 20.
look at that.
Um,
I'll show wave 20, but just to show you again to everyone on the wave 200 daily at QQ, standard deviation's in the golden area. It's green right now, but it could leave the golden area green or it could turn red, and M could be assigned, meaning compression cycle signaled, which means a downside cycle. And as it leaves the golden area, let's say red, it may look like this April tariff sell-off from 2025, that sharp squeeze lower. So we know at some point, from what I've seen, looking at stuff like this, the standard deviation, we could be months away or sooner from a very big squeeze, higher or lower in price of QQ from current level. One of the two is going to happen, much higher, much lower. Last time we're in this golden area was, right before this April tariff sell-off of 2025, which is it was a pretty big downside. It was sharp downside. We had some pretty big down days back in that April. So maybe it's the inverse. Maybe we have very big up days coming, or it's a sharp sell-off.
Yep.
I've been arguing sharp sell-off more probable, but we'll see.
it's very
All
more
I
like
know is coming.
probable. Like
Something's
if you
coming.
look so like do wave 20 and just look at Qs and like it's not like a sharp sell off, but like maybe like a temporary like a dip down below pivot and back up, you know, and
Yeah,
the
here's 20. Yeah, standard deviation's getting a little hot. Halfway to extreme with 2,000 days. Yeah, so it's above the average percent, above pivot, which this area does fluctuate. It depends on how many days you have loaded down here. With 2,000 days, it's above it a little bit, and then all these imprint bands over here, old open states, they have the imprint band lines. That's what these lines are. These are targets. Not just open states, but these act as targets too. They be supportive, resistive sometimes. They're targets for price to eventually hit or try to hit at least.
they're not. Yeah.
Can I show one thing that I went long shares on actually last week? This oil stock SM Energy. I've done my research on the fundamental side, value side. It's a great company, making a lot of money. There's many great things on the fundamental side. Let me show the fractal side though. This is one of my trading strategies. I apply what I see in the fundamental side, my research side of the physical business, the current state of the health of the business and all that. And then I compare it to what I see in the fractal. And I, combine them together and see if they align. And here it's kind of showing I do align. On this wave 100 daily, we're above pivot after a long compression cycle under pivot, downside, consolidation, whatever. We just got above not too long ago, as of March. We made this high 18. We compressed down to the vector. And anytime I see this price compress down the vector, it always is supportive. Let's say 9 out of 10 times it's mostly supportive upon first test of this vector. on a wave like wave 100, 150, 200. So we compressed until we found support, which was the vector, and now we're seeing expansion to 38.29. And with the DCF model of this one, it's worth well over $50 a share. So it can hit this open state, no problem. And then I go to 200. Look at that, 36, same thing. This has only been above pivot again, late March. So if you look under here, under pivot in the past, this thing spent a good 2 years about under pivot. So now we're back above pivot. Why can't this last 2 years above pivot and be bullish? We know there's bullish catalyst and headlines for oil stocks right now, price of oil being elevated. So this is one, from what I'm seeing on the fundamental side and on the fractal side, there's persistent upside likely for this one. And that's why I bought shares like on this candle the other day. So this is why I'm long, with the fractal, I like this. I like 36, open state. I really think it closes. I like the energy space. And yeah. All right. Oh, my connection went bad. Shoot. Hello? Wait, can you hear me? Yeah, disconnected again. Okay. Yeah, I keep disconnecting. I don't know what it is. I think storms rolling through or something in my area. I guess I'm gonna take that as my sign to get going, though. You can take it away, Harris, Eli. Out there. But no, thanks again for those people who are in psychology session in this session. Thank you again. We'll continue to do more meetings like that, more discussions. So I look forward to see you guys there. But yeah, thank you for your attention today, your time.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, I gotta go. Anyways, I'm gonna get going. But yeah, thanks
For
again.
sure. Good night, guys.